You work so hard. You show up every day. You do what's expected of you. But deep down, you know the truth. One paycheck shouldn't decide how your life turns out. But what if your evenings meant progress? What if your weekends built freedom? What if your laptop became more than just a screen? This isn't about quitting your job. It's about giving yourself options. While others crawl, you start building. Quietly, consistently, and on your own terms. No pressure, no guessing. Just a clear system you can run after work, before work, or whenever life gives you a turn. That's what Goldmine on hustlesafrica.com is for.
Tuesday. Haikuzo. Makasi ni watafute uongozi pamoja wasitafute.
Kweli una maana gani? Una maana wewe ni binadamu ya mavi ya kuku.
Ama shamba yetu harambe.
Nguruwe kujikanga na mafuta yake. Na Afrika itakwisha.
Padani agosho. Ngai no mwega. Na endesho de.
Wakati hiyo ilikuwa ukisema ngwe ndani. Ngwe.
William Ruto flooded Ol-Kalou constituency with obscene amounts of money. Kenya shillings 14 billion in projects over 3 months. 1.1 billion Kenya shillings directly in cash. He stripped mattresses from hospital wards to donate. He brought gas cylinders and even speedboats in dams where there is no fish or fingerlings. In full view of the country, William Ruto shamelessly tried to bribe the voters. The people stood their ground and said no. I now want to confirm to the people of Kenya, dirty money cannot alter the fate of William Ruto in 2027.
The people of Ol-Kalou have shown us that it doesn't matter what the regime throws at the people, be it goodies, be it intimidation, be it violence, the people in their supreme power will be the final say in the elections even in 2027.
I must congratulate the people of Ol-Kalou for resisting the heavy government machinery, the money, the empowerment, the fake developments, and all the goodies were given to them to vote against the UDA.
Kalou has shown us that bribery, violence would not contribute to the conduct of the elections in 2027.
Ilikuwa ni ya Jubilee. Jubilee imepata kura 200. Na Uhuru Kenyatta alitoa support yake yote. So Jubilee lost heavily a seat they were holding. Almost had no chance of defending it. UDA had a chance of recouping it. Sisi as UDA, we will either not zone out or leave out or exclude anyone from our politics, and we will not zone out or leave out any part of this country to our competitors. So hata if the results were even worse, if there was...
Hii uchaguzi ambayo ilifanyika jana haikuwa ya kwanza. Tulipoteza wabunge karibu 4 ama 5. Na by elections wengine walikuwa nullified kwa kotini. Na zote zilifanyika kwa amani. Na zote watu walishinda. Na kila mtu alitangazwa mshindi hapa Kenya. Hapa Homa Bay karibu na Migori tulikuwa na Kasipul. Tulifanya uchaguzi kwa amani na chama yangu ya ODM ilishinda. Huko Mbeere kulikuwa na uchaguzi. Sijui kitu gani ilifanyika kwa amani, chama ya UDA pia ilishinda. Sasa hata kama tunasherekea, tusherekee kwa amani. Kwa sababu sisi pia tulisherekea kwa amani wakati yetu.
Hello, people of the internet. My name is not Jagero. My name is Tricia Wayua. And of course, tonight I'm here to keep you company from now all the way to 10 p.m. And of course, I am joined by a panelist here. We have Mesha Kodede. We also have Adrian. And of course, there's another guest who will be joining us as we continue with this conversation. So tonight's conversation is around what's Ruto's next move. That is beyond Mount Kenya. We are talking about the by-elections of Ol Kalou, which of course have sparked fresh debate about the president's political strategy ahead of 2027. Tonight, we ask, does the result suggest it's time to look beyond Mount Kenya and strengthen support in other regions? So that is the question that we need to answer tonight in this conversation. But before we get into that main topic, of course, there have been some political temperatures that we also need to see what is happening. And we are going to start with what happened yesterday. There was a commissioning of the commencement of preparation on Kenya's first State of Openness report at State House yesterday. And from that meeting, of course, we saw the president urging ministries to cooperate, and also promising that there shall be reduced political influence on parastatus. So as we start this, I just want to start with Meshak here. As maybe you tell us how your day was, you're going to start with that political temperature. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Tricia. The people of the internet, this is Meshak already. I am happy to be with you this evening to look at the state of our nation in the evening. People are more used to looking at state of the nation in the morning, but let us now look at state of the nation in the evening. And my day has been great, a lot busy, but really good. I can't complain. And I've flipped through a little and saw how the celebration are going on in Murima. And of course, what you're talking about, coming to what you're talking about, I saw the state of openness. The only problem I have, not really a problem, but concern, I have, would be some of these things may not be popular opinion to many people, but some of these things are actually given to us by the Western world. And when they are given to us by the Western world, if you saw the State House, you saw the kind of people who were there, largely the Western world. And they are presenting, according to them, what it is. I'm sure 90 or probably 80% of Kenyans don't even know what that means when you talk about state of openness and all that. I think Africa, according to me, this is my opinion and it might be unpopular, I think Africa needs to design their own ways and look at what works for them, because something like that will be presented. It will sound and look like this is meant for us, this is meant to help us as Africa. But again, you might not have one thing to put your finger on, but trust me, the Western world have what they want to achieve with that. It is not so much about how much they love us and how much they want to help us achieve some of these things. Because the silly question I would ask, do you think where they are, they will be so happy and jumping if African countries, Kenya included, would be first world and start competing on everything, be it business, be it policies? They won't. Because if they would be happy, then we would not be seeing things like racism and all those kind of things happening across the world. It would just be a fair world for everyone. So when I see something like that, I would be cautious and I would want us to pick what can work for us and can fix something for our betterment, but not the whole of it, believing like we believe in the Bible that this is what has come to save us. So I think even them, some of these things don't work for them in their countries, because if you talk about openness, there are no countries in the world that have more secrets than the Western world. But then they want everything for us to be open and be easy. I think if you look at them and even their information, has actually been channeled to one particular. If you go to any of those countries you saw there, you cannot get any information from any ministry ovio. You will have to get it from one channel which they believe in. So yeah, that's my thinking and my take about that. I'm not disputing that the idea might be good, but I'm cautioning we should look at it wholesomely and pick what we think is for our own interest. And not pick the whole of it, because the whole of it is the interest of the other people. Maybe a thing or two is in it that can be of our own interest. That is what I want us to pick. Thank you.
Okay, Adrian.
Yes.
What do you think of this?
What?
What do you think of this commissioning of preparation on Kenya's first State of Openness report? Okay. Yeah, we shall get into that. So, Meshach, so do you think maybe in our country here, how is this going to help us? How is it going to improve maybe the trust that people have with the government?
First, I think the components that are there that probably I would say are more important for this country are not really very new things, because if you probably go through that report and see, you won't find something that is so unique. We know for sure as a country, you and I on this table, and probably Adrian, and the people listening to us, we know that we need fairness. We know that we need open the information. We even have a way in our constitution on how the people should actually access the information.
Yes.
We have the right to information actually embedded in our constitution. So they are not going to be very, very unique and new things. They're just going to be some things that probably we already have, but we have not put a lot of efforts on as a country. So maybe this is positive, looking at the whole thing now on a positive note. Maybe this is now going to help us come back to sense, and also maybe put effort to things that matter. Because probably at a time like this, our efforts and all our mind are already going into 2022 general election. 2027 general election,
yes,
which is still more than a year away. So we could start with some things that are positive and impactful to the people while we are preparing for that. Right now, you will find that even our parliament, for example, we have 3 arms of government.
Yes.
And you will notice that parliament is the arm of government that carries the weight of the people, because they are the house where people are represented at different levels. But you will find when it gets to a certain point, maybe later in the year, or even early next year, you will find they have suspended a lot of things, and they are only now dealing with what looks like emergency. And if it is not emergency, then it has to be it has to be something that has to do with the election that is coming. And at some point, even the bills out here, the policies out here, get stuck in the corridors waiting for the new parliament. And I don't think that is the right way to go. So things like State of Openness report and all this may just help us to refocus a little, but they are not very unique and new things that we didn't have. We have the right to information in the constitution. It's not new. So a report like this should help us refocus. And maybe if our focus was too much in the general election of 2027, maybe it should return our focus to things that matter to people now while we prepare for that election. Yeah.
In fact, today might be one of the few days that I agree with Meshach.
I'm even actually seeing somebody here saying that they are shocked. Meshach has toned down.
Yes. I was hoping to be the one to say the things he has been saying.
Yes.
But I'm sorry, a little bit. Somebody actually had an emergency, and I was just confirming on his state. It is something to do with the hospital. I was shocked a little bit. But aside from that, the State of Openness report. First of all, definitely the problem is not about the reports. It's about a lot of things that has to do with implementation. I keep telling people that, Kenya already has a raft of policies, a raft of laws to cover almost a lot of things. Look at even the issue of accountability and openness on information. We have Access to Information Act, a very well written act that was supposed to be solving a lot of these things. But it is good that, sometimes a report brings to attention things that maybe the government has not really refocused on. At least it gets the attention of people. So look at things such as debt that we have talked about so much. There is a lot of information that we have lacked on issues of debt. Look at audit. Part of our audit, a lot of people have complained, there's certain information that we have not been furnished from public institutions. An agency or an insurance like SHA, part of the complaint of the people who were doing investigative journalism was that they had to force and write to SHA for them to give them certain information. So if indeed there was something that this report was going to do, at least let it bring to the limelight that, our government has failed in the openness and accountability. But for me, I don't think there is nothing much that is going to change when it comes to, the implementation of this particular report. Yeah, because I've always believed that, if we did follow our laws when it comes to access of information, that if you got the honest, truthful information from government agencies,
yes,
then I don't think government agencies would be functioning the way they are functioning today. I don't think they would be able to steal the amount of money they're stealing today.
I tend to agree with you.
Yes, that is why the information has to be kept out of us.
Yeah, okay. I think that is just fair enough. Like, we want, if we are talking about openness, of course, we want all these parastatals, all these government agencies. We just want to get all the information that as Kenyans we need to get access to. Well, let's just jump over to what happened in Olkalau. Of course, it is also part of the political temperatures because we are looking at, there are some clips that I want the producer to play. The one for Murkomen.
It is the political temperature of the entire country.
Yes, right now.
It is the hottest.
That's what everybody wants to hear about. And producer, are we there? Kindly get me the clip of Murkomen, what Murkomen was saying, what Gachagua said about the goons, as we continue. Well, it tries to, okay, yeah, continue then.
That we deployed, the Inspector General of Police deployed enough officers to provide security in Olkalau. These allegations of some other persons who are causing havoc in the Olkalau must be investigated thoroughly, and anyone who is culpable must be arrested, regardless of their what they were doing and who deployed them to Olkalau. Whether they were deployed by the Inspector General and they went and misbehaved, they must be dealt with and dealt with finality. I am not, let me say this, we are not condoning violence in any way, whether it was Olkalau, whether it was Mbere, whether it was Narok, and whether in the next elections, we want to assure the people of Kenya that we are not going to condone that kind of. So any such actions must be investigated and perpetrators brought to book immediately.
The Honorable Sabina Chege, the Honorable Kawanjiku Njuguna of Kiamba, Eric Wamumbi, Betty Maina, and the women rep for Kiambu Wamuraba. The MP for Nakuru East, Honorable Gekaria, has been organizing goons, and all the goons that are in Olkalau have come from Nakuru. And they are using Molin luxury shuttle. I want to apologize. Earlier on when I spoke to a media station, I said it's Mololine. I want to give an undeserved apology to Mololine because they are not the ones. It's Molin luxury shuttle. This is the team of public transport that has given out their vehicles to take goons to Olkalau to kill the people of Olkalau. This is unacceptable and it will be punished. I am announcing.
Okay, I wanted a clip where Gachagua was talking about the IG. Okay, yeah, we can just continue with the conversation. Of course, we heard what Gachagua was saying about the IG, and we've heard what Murkomen has said. Yesterday, we saw, personally, I saw on some of the clips that were being shown by the media, and I saw some these police vehicles. Yeah, I don't know how we call them. The ones that carry zenye ziko na tear gas and all that. What do we call them? And of course, we are seeing the armed police kule juu with.
Actually, what we saw were Prados.
They were civilians, right?
What we saw, the cars that we saw on Olkalau with the masked goons. That is a perfect name.
Yeah, the
they were in black Prados.
Yeah. Okay,
most of them.
Yeah, I've had
around 5 or something.
Yes, and the vehicles were just moving within Olkalau. So, and Gachagua, you heard him say that they were complaining about those guys. They are saying that they had covered themselves. You could not tell who they were. And of course, they were showing their guns. You saw how it was. It was like, it's like a movie, something. So, I don't know what you have to say about when the person that we are expecting that he needs to give us an answer is saying that they
don't know those people.
Yeah, they don't know those people and they are going to do investigation. Let's start with you, Adrian.
Yeah, you see, it's very concerning. And I remember last time we did a little bit of a dive in on goons some 2 days before the by-election in Olkalau. And I said quite importantly, I said it quite well. And, you know, looking at this, you've seen that in Olkalau, there were people who were wearing civilian.
Yes.
And people who were armed with arms that belong to the government, an AK-47. Some were even brandishing, military rifles. But the cabinet secretary of Interior comes and tells us that he does not know those people. And you see, that was my biggest fear last time when I was talking about goons. I told you that in other countries, like Sudan, whereby we had the Janjaweed militia, it started by being a group of goons who were supported by the government to harm other opposing dissenting civilians. But when they decided to take it to another level, they decided to arm these people. So we are seeing now that goons are not having clubbers. They're now being armed with military guns.
Yes.
And you know why are we saying that those are goons? It's because even the cabinet secretary for Interior has confirmed to us that these are not police officers, that they also don't know who these men are, and they do not know where they came from. And you cannot tell us that these people actually came from Gachagua or any opposing leaders. It is very difficult to believe that these people have the capacity to do that. And we know quite well that if these individuals were actually coming from the other opposing dissenting side, number one, they would have not been disrupting the voting that was going on in that particular polling station. Number two, the government would have already taken immediate action against them. And also, there were other goons, particularly those 5 vehicles that were here, so that the government apologists can also tell us. I don't mean Menshak, but I mean generally. There was an MP who was identifying the full glare of cameras. The MP for Kiamba entering one of the vehicles with the said people. Look at the state that we are in right now. So that means that the goons that we have had in this country are now slowly morphing into a militia. And that has been one of our biggest fears that we've had according to these goons.
Meshak,
Yes.
what do you have to say about that?
There are 3 things that we need to be sober and probably figure out as a country, because the evidence is out that these things have ability to grow. One, they always begin like a defense team, something that is meant to save us. Us means a particular community or a particular group or a particular place. Some of us are lucky to have lived a little bit in the days when Moi was almost going out of power. And before he went out of power, we had groups like Mungiki. The people of Mount Kenya lived with Mungiki, and they believed those people were helping them, protecting them, and meant good for them. Until such a time that they got power, which we are also looking for with my party leader, Dr. Burodinga. And then when they got power, the Mungikis became menace to them. And there was a time the late Michuki was in the docket where Murkomen is right now.
Yes.
And ordered ruthless actions against Mungiki, which became really, really bad. And now things went a little bit slow. And other places, including our very own motherland, Kisumu, had some of those. We have the days, there were days of Baghdad, and there were days of, there were China Squad, there were different groupings. And one thing that is unique, not unique, universal around them, is that they are always related to certain political figures. If it is not figure A, tomorrow it's figure B. But if it is not figure B, the other figure. But you must find them, because most of the time these are people, mostly young people, not too young to know that there is bad or good. Just adult, but because of some decision they have made, that is what they think should be their way of earning a living. So we saw, including the days when in this city of Nairobi where we are, we had the so-called Nairobi business community. And now where it took a serious turn, when it was Mungiki, it was known to the entire country that this is a non-governmental group. So they were always against the government, but they could be supported at the background by political figures.
Yes.
But where it all took a turn was Nairobi business community, and probably some people are not comfortable talking about this. When Nairobi business community happened, things changed, because that is when the government of the day then realized that they could actually work with these people we call goons for whatever reason. And after that, the idea was born that every time there is a protest, we could actually have an alternative group. So when they say protesters are goons who destroy people's properties and overwhelm police, they have an alternative of those goons on their side. And because we had let the Nairobi business community sleep and get away with it, the idea became very bold. So when the other protest came recently, we now saw them going to Honorable Sakaja, the governor, and say to Melinda Gigi, we are now on the side of government. So that is how government adopted the idea of goons, and it became over and over until now. So we need to know, when are we now going to stop it? When it was Mungiki, it was fully known they are not with government. Whenever government meets them, it is a fight. When it was Baghdad or China Squad and all that. But when Nairobi business community came, we got comfortable. Those who were in government then got comfortable, and it went away. The idea was becoming bold. Now, recently, we saw them. So every other time we keep seeing them. Now the other side, which is supposed to be the protesters, are now even looking less of goons. Government look more of goons. But so the question is, who do we want to account for this? I'm going to the next point. Number one, we will not find a change as a country until the people themselves decide to change. This is the reason why I'm saying this. The politicians will be supported by these goons. They will win elections.
But Meshach, do you think the government is responsible for those goons?
Yeah, I'm coming to that. That is going to be my last point. The reason why I'm saying we will never see change, because politicians are supported many times. If tomorrow Meshach is campaigning in Ruaraka or whichever constituency, I will feel good when those people are shouting like they are on my side, so they are protecting me. But later on, they will be with another person who is also campaigning. So what I'm saying is, we usually put this thing to look like politicians are the only ones to blame, and these people are young, innocent, and does not know this is wrong. Some of us also came to Nairobi a little bit earlier. I was not born in Nairobi. If I wanted to be a goon, I would be, because my father has never been rich, my family was never a dynasty. So the money they are looking for, I would be looking for. But some of us decided I will not be anybody's goon. So if I took a machete and killed the other person, am I too young, even if I'm just 20 or 25 years of age, am I too young to understand that this is wrong? So when we keep going to the media houses and we're saying, politicians, stop using these young people in a wrong way, where that young man feels like I was just being used. It is not my fault. I think we need to give them blame, both of them. Both the political class who need their service and them who give themselves for the service. Because before we go
Trisha, I would not love to agree with that point.
Yeah,
and I know, listen, I know he's getting to his point. In fact, he's supposed to tell us who's accountable for those for goons.
Yes.
Let me tell Meshach one thing. You know, when it comes to criminally organized groups of people,
yes,
one of the people who are held responsibly higher more than any other individual is always the people who get to organize those groups.
Yes.
Not just the people who commit those specific acts in those particular groups. So it is a fundamental wrong for you to start by saying that the person that you are supposed to start by blaming with this issue of goons are those young people. The first person who's supposed to be held accountable when it comes to goons is the person who organizes those goons. That is why in any form of organized criminal prosecution around the world, you can see it even with cartels, the person that the police officers chase the most is actually the people who coordinate and the people who organize most of those groups. So when it comes to the issue of goonism in Kenya, the first person that we're supposed to be questioning is the people who organize for these goons, who are the politicians connected with our president. But at the same time, it is definitely true that we have to emancipate our young people from participating in these groups. But I would love not the blame to be put highly on the young people first, without focusing on the people who organize.
And again, for example, yesterday I saw some 2 young men. There was another video, a clip that was just moving rounds, making rounds on social media also, of 2 young men. They were being beaten. Apparently they were goons. And they were saying that they were paid to come and work. They were told they are coming to work. Yes. Yeah. So coming there, they didn't know. I think it's like they got lost.
Yeah.
So that's how they were cornered.
Let me land my point. Adrian, I would love the blame to be 50-50 on politicians and these young people.
The blame cannot be 50-50.
What you are saying...
The blame cannot be 50-50 measure.
That is your thought. What you are saying is ideal. But the reality is, do you know there are some of these young people who, even if you give them work today, they will not work? Give them work 8 to 5, report here, work. They will not work. Do you know that?
How is that point connected? What do you mean?
The point is, some of them...
That is outrageous for you to make such kind of a statement.
Believe me, we work in communities and we know. Some of these young people have already gotten too used. Just let any politician step inside this compound today. No politician had sent people to mobilize them. They will be here. And you wouldn't know how did they get here. And they will start mugging people on their way back home, even if the politician did not ask them to mug people. And others will also be given task job 8 to 5, and they will find that too difficult. They want freedom where they can run around anywhere. They are politicians, and then they get the free money. We must tell our young people money cannot be free all the time. Others must work for the money.
But
so that is why for me it's a 50-50. There are those young people.
So you guys were creating jobs?
There are those people who do not want work. There are young people who completely do not want work anymore.
But being hired to go and be a goon is already.
So he's saying that he's saying that young people cannot work 8 to 5, so they want to give them quick jobs.
Yes,
so they're giving them quick jobs, you beat someone for 1 hour, then it's over.
You are getting it wrong. There are young people who want quick money, and for them quick money is going to this political space, shouting and doing anything, and then you are going back with 1,000. Elsewhere, you will be in a construction site for a whole day to get that 1,000. Here, they are going to a meeting of a politician for 2 hours or less. 1,000 is already in. If you give them work from 8 to 5, they will run away. After 1 week, they don't want that work is.
And the person you blame is the young person, not the politician.
Both of them,
okay.
The young person and the politician.
Lovely.
But let me come to the landing point. The last one is government. When we see political space getting murky, the person who took oath is the government, whether the president, the IG, the CS. They are the ones who have taken oath to secure the property of Kenyans and the life of Kenyans. So it is possible, and I am saying it has happened many times, that even the opposition can organize gangs to make it look bad on the side of government. But the reason why we still put government to account, it is them who collect taxes, and it is them who made a promise through the oath to secure. So what I would say, the government, especially the police, the IG, should stop this same trick of, not trick, but same pattern or system of investigating, reacting to issues. We should use intelligence, because that is why the intelligence are not even given money the same way other departments of government are given money. They are given a lot of money, and their auditors are internal, because we are talking about security. So the reason why intel is in a country, they are supposed to know that Meshach and Adrian are actually planning to interrupt a certain meeting tomorrow. Then they should come for me, or go and secure that meeting to the best level.
You think the problem here is lack of intel?
I think the problem is our security organs have always reacted, not act ahead.
So the goons were not, the landing point was supposed, you were supposed to answer us on who brought the goods.
This is why I'm saying, whether the goons were brought by opposition or government, whatever, the police need to have known way early, because they have intelligence. So their intelligence should be questioned. How effective is it? Because they cannot work like CCTV camera. If there's CCTV camera on this studio, it will only tell you that Meshach came here and took the camera. But it is not stopping Meshach from taking the camera. Maybe by the time you find Meshach, the camera is
I get
lost.
that point, Aslan.
So
Tricia,
we need an intelligence which tells way ahead of time.
Tricia, I guess I hope Jagero told you that, I'll also be assisting you with hosting and asking a little bit of questions, right? So aside from that, I've gotten the point of my brother, but you're not asking me, answering me on one fundamental question.
Yes.
Can you tell me, on this particular incident of Olkalau, were the goons caused by government or the opposition?
On the goons that were seen at Olkalau by election, I am not in a position to say who caused, because I honestly don't know. I'm a common mwananchi. The only thing I know, I saw people with faces covered in some Prados.
According to your own intelligence and deduction.
Now, I can only put government to account. Did you have intelligence to tell you who this is? If you didn't, then you failed on the job, because you were supposed to have known there's something coming to happen like this. But if you knew, then you must have been part of the organizing. So whether they were organized by the opposition, you should still have known because you have intelligence.
Okay,
so you should have still known and stopped. Whether they were organized by some part of the government, the intelligence within police should still have known. So I might not be in a position to say clearly that these were goons organized by so-and-so, but I can tell the person who is supposed to answer should be IG
should be
and
the government.
and their
Okay,
team.
okay. We have another guest here. I think I need to introduce him. That is James. He came a bit late. Maybe there were some issues on the way. But James, we were talking about, we are just on political temperatures. And we're just looking at the issue of the goons that we saw yesterday in Olkalau. We're looking at what Rigathi Gachagua said about the IG and what CS Interior Murkomen said around the issue of goons, and that they are still investigating to know who are these people who are just moving around with Prados and with guns. So I don't know, what is your take on that? What do you think is failing? Because Meshach is saying that I think the government lacked intel, but I don't think that is the case. I think the government knew what is happening.
So you want to tell me that in Kenya you can roam around with Prados that have registered number plates and we are unable to get you in 24 hours? That you would have access to tear gas canisters. Sababu tuliona wakilipua tear gas canister kwa Prado.
Yes.
Tear gas watu wananunua wapi tuziwa. That in Kenya you would have plain clothes guys operating outside the law, breaking the law in open daylight, and they would make away with that crime in a constituency that was gridlocked. You remember before the election started, Olkalau had been barricaded from all vantage points, from all access points. You wouldn't get to Olkalau unless the police allow you to get into Olkalau. So you want to tell me that this unknown and unidentified personnel with vehicles that had registered number plates accessed Olkalau, shot live bullets, fired tear gas canisters, which we don't know where they got from, and made it out of Olkalau safely.
And they
now
had,
you have to investigate.
And they had, in fact, mentioned they had military rifles.
They had military rifles, and they got out of Olkalau unscathed, unarrested, if that is a word, and they made it out of Olkalau scot-free. And now we have to investigate. That is the joke of the century. And we know who roams around with Prados in this country. We know them. Tunajua ni za wanasiasa. And by Subarus. The way, on that same day, Kawanjiku them before, I don't know which constituency,
Kiamba.
Was on ground, on site, instructing goons. Because to me, anyone who's holding or wielding a club, ile mti ya jembe, it's a goon. Especially on a protest day or on an election day. We know private security. We can differentiate between private security and hired goons. Sasa kama wewe unataka kuwa goon kesho, basi usibebe hiyo kitu ya mti ya jembe. Wewe tushakulebo kama goon. Hiyo ndo trademark you. Kawanjiku was instructing goons by the fact that they were wielding the clubs. Hiyo mti ya jembe. Hiyo inakaaga kama duster ya kuosha nyumba. And he was giving them firm instructions on how to deal with protesters. Sorry, not protesters, voters. It has gotten to my head. I've protested a lot, I guess. And you can see part of the instructions were these vehicles were supposed to access the polling stations. Whatever business they had with the polling stations, I don't know. You remember the voters of Olkalau stood firm and made it clear that no one is going to access our polling stations with on board any vehicle. They even ransacked police officers.
Yes.
Wewe afisa unaenda wapi? Weka hapo bag yako. Wacha tuangalie nini iko hapa ndani kabla uende. Hauwezi enda kama hatujaangalia. In fact, they even searched IPOA officials. Nyinyi watu wa IPOA ndio mmekuja kuiba papers, mnakuja kuiba kura hapa. Wacha tuone hizi mapapers zenu na bahasha mmeweka nini ndani. We've lost our confidence and our trust in the electoral commission and in the police to that extent. Imefika hapo, tuko hapo. That's the junction we are at right now. And it's disappointing and also emboldening at the same time because the country is benchmarking from Olkalau. we're drawing a lot of lessons from Olkalau.
For 2027.
So next time mtu akiniambia wewe piga kura, tuko na unga 4 za chapo na mafuta ya kupika na nimekuletea gas, na ukimaliza kupiga kura kuja tuonane. Tutachukua hiyo unga, tuchukue hiyo mafuta, alafu tutawakanda kama hiyo unga ya chapo na tuwakaange na hiyo mafuta mmetuletea kwa hiyo gas yenu. Na bado tutapiga kura penye tunataka. And there are 2 Olkalau proverbs that have stood out by now, that you cannot fatten a bull or a cow just before the market day. And there's another proverb that, well, a hen can eat from the neighbor's house, from the forest, and from every other location, but it knows where to lay the egg.
Well, I want us to be honest about this issue of civilians, the people searching the police officers and electoral officers, like he has said, even the IPOA and all that. Is this the practice that we want to have in our country here?
Do you think it's wrong?
Just an honest question, because I feel like it's a peculiar event that happened yesterday. I don't think we have ever seen that before.
Trisa, would you
I've
think?
never seen that
Trisa,
before
would you think
myself,
that?
yes.
Would you think that is wrong?
Let me mention something else you've not seen before. Yesterday, as Sami Ngodho, Samuel, his name is Samuel Waweru.
Yes.
Kamau Ngodho. Interesting names. When he was giving a little press statement to the people of Olkalau, there was one of his supporters who held a padlock by his hand. And he was straightforward. Mimi nimekuja nifunge hii polling station. Hakuna mtu anaingia. Naweza kupea namba yangu afisa. Mkimaliza shughuli za hii polling station, mnipigie simu nitakuja nifungue. Hata sisi wenyewe hatutaki kuingia. So hatutaki kusikia mtu ati anasema anataka kuingia. Ngodho haingii na opponent wake haingii na wanasiasa hawaingii. Na hata nyinyi polisi mkae kando. Mkimaliza hii shughuli ya kupiga kura, mniite nikuje nifungue hiyo polling station. Na alikuwa amenua padlock mpya. And we can also see that this is the first time, I don't know if this has happened before, that goons were beaten mercilessly. In fact, hii sasa inaitwa kichapo cha Olkalau. Sasa tena si kichapo cha umbo. They were beaten and stripped naked. And they were forced to answer questions the whole day. Hakuna mahali mnaenda. Sisi mnatumwa kazi. Hii kazi tunafanya na nyinyi. Sisi tuko hapa kuchunga kura, nyinyi mko hapa kutatiza kupiga kura. Wacha tukae na nyinyi hapa siku mzima. Na kabla mtoke hapa mtatuambia nani aliwatuma, na shughuli ilikuwa gani, na mlilipwa pesa ngapi, na mko wangapi, na agenda ilikuwa gani. And they confessed. After they were stripped naked and beaten senselessly, kichapo cha Olkalau, walisema walitumwa na Faith Gitau, who is a member of parliament, I guess.
Yes.
Some names you can't imagine.
Yes.
A
And
woman.
I have told you that another area MP, Kawanjiku, was on site instructing goons. So the problem is caused by people from this same republic. Sio watu wanatoka Kongo wanakuja kulipa goons. Ni watu wetu hapa. In fact, ni hata mtu anaweza kuwa jirani yako, because the guys who are being beaten mercilessly might as well be Faith Gitau's or Kawanjiku's neighbors. But do they care? It could be their relatives, their mother, aunt, uncle, brother, cousin. Do they care? They have to do the assignment or the work that was given to them from State House, because we've ascertained at this particular point that every wrong decision in this country is being made at State House. Sifuna's impeachment decision was made at State House. That has been confirmed. And the decision to cannibalize ODM has been made from State House. And I would not be surprised if the decision to rig the elections in Olkalau was also made in State House. And an order was issued. And these MPs were actually just enforcing that order. Who else would want to win Olkalau so badly as to pour in 10 billion shillings?
The president.
Who else would want to win Olkalau so bad and go to the extent of deploying goons and masked plainclothes, unidentified people who I believe are police officers? Who else would go to the extent of ferrying ballot papers, marked ones, into a polling station? Who else?
Were they there?
So,
Tricia, yes.
And he has mentioned a very good point. Before I even tell you on, how peculiar it was maybe for the residents of Olkalau to search the police officers. Actually, this is how Goonism actually operates. This is how Goonism starts at State House. In fact, Goonism does start at State House. When we are having something like a by-election at Olkalau, this is what happens. Number one, the president will not be involved in the groundworks at that particular region. What will happen is that the president will convene a meeting of leaders from that specific region. In fact, the only reason most of these leaders have a collaboration is because everybody is given a task in their own region to gather support for the president. Like Kindiki has been told, bring 40% of the votes in Mount Kenya. Joho has been told, bring the people, of course, Oburu, the people of Mount Kenya. That is how the arrangement works. So when there is by election at a particular region, the leaders from that region, the allied leaders of UDA, are called to State House. When they are called to State House, they are given a budget. They are told that we are having a by-election, and the budget is 10 billion. We are going to run this program at this particular region. But aside from that budget, they are going to be given certain form of coercive protection. So this coercive protection is coming from the orders of the president, telling the IG inspectorate that, give these people some armed men who are definitely from the DCI. So after that arrangement, these people are now given the freedom to cause havoc in this particular region. They go into those regions, they bribe, they use the armed men that they were given by the state. All that happens, and the police turns a blind eye. Why do they do it? It's because they have gotten orders from the president. It's because it's an arrangement that was made at State House. Then after that, people wake up and say that Goonism is only done by politicians. It is not done by our president. How do you make such kind of a careless statement? How is somebody able to procure 5 military rifles and show up in 5 cars to disrupt election in a simple polling station without the knowledge of the state, without the approval of the head of state, without the approval of the intelligence agencies, without the approval of the DCI? How does that happen? So everything when it comes to Goonism in this country starts from State House. So and it starts with the permission of the president, nobody else.
Just let me ask.
That is why their favorite president made an address today about Olkalau.
Let me just
but
ask
aside from everything, the only thing he can point about is that, a leader has been elected. Did he seek to address the issue of Goonism in Olkalau? He did not. Why?
Before my friend comes in, I need to address myself to something that was peculiar and disturbing from Keumbu. A friend of mine had a lengthy conversation with one of the police officers who appeared to have been spectating as the goons did their thing. He was just silently watching as a bystander. And he confessed that they know who sent these goons. Zaire Janda has been mentioned, and so many other names have been dropped. You would say that those are allegations, but then if the one who has been sent, the goon, confesses, then would you know better than them? Anyway, getting back to the point. So he says, as a police officer, my hands are tied. You can imagine the pain in his heart from an administrative point of view, from an officer who has a mandate to maintain law and order and to protect property and life, confessing that, you see, there is nothing we could have done because we knew who had sent these goons. And I would be burning my fingers in hot oil if I did anything. If I had interfered or if I had stopped the goons, I would be in hot soup today. Because I would be transferred, demoted, fired, or disciplined. Because when that discipline is happening, you wouldn't know and I wouldn't know. Because that is the preserve of the Inspector
Of course,
General of Police
yes.
and his bosses. So he is confessing to how far we've fallen as a country and how in this country procedures don't really seem to work. And everyone is almost trying to do what is not right. there is every effort and attempt to do what is wrong. There are a few people who are trying to do what is right. So as a police officer who knows that protecting property and life comes first and maintaining law and order comes first, you would do nothing because this would be at the risk of your job. You can imagine if you are that police officer. And there are so many untold stories from our police officers who've really suffered under their bosses. You remember the case about Albert Ojwang. Albert Ojwang was beaten mercilessly. He was not supposed to die, as from the confessions of some of the police officers in their monologues. They say they were given orders to discipline him for questioning the DIG Edu Langat. This was a case gone wrong. And in part of the disciplining, I think he bled too much. I think they overdid it. And these orders were issued by their bosses on how to deal with an arrested citizen who is in police custody.
I think there's somebody who's saying that they can't hear you well.
They can't hear me.
I don't know whether it's your microphone which has problems or what. I think producer.
Maybe closer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So as I was saying, in Albert Ojwang's case, the police officers, the junior police officers, who were tasked with handling him, massaging him properly, were given firm instructions to not probably kill him, but discipline him enough so that next time this sets a precedence that you cannot question the top police bosses. So you're not supposed to question the DIG, the IG, and any other senior police officer, the regional commandants and the rest. And this was supposed to instill fear in any other whistleblower who had a dossier or information about malpractice in the police service. And this I'm addressing myself to this because these rogue orders never seem to stop. So as a police officer, as a top boss, probably acting on instructions from State House or from other quarters, maybe from the ministry, I would issue illegal orders to my junior bosses, my junior officers, who would have to follow these instructions to the letter. Even if that instruction included beating someone to death. And that is what the officer at Keumbu was saying. We are almost always given illegal orders, which we know are illegal, but there is nothing we can do because our hands are tied, and as a country, I think we've not pursued command responsibility as it should be. We need to take the regional commandants to court. We need to take the IG to court. We need to take the DIGs to court for issuing illegal orders, because the orders come from the top. And if you understand chain of command, the junior officers have they have no wiggle room. They have no excuse whatsoever as to effecting an order that is from their boss. It works just like the military. And we need to solve that as a country.
So are you also confirming what Adrian was saying about that the president knows what is happening, everything that is happening, even to the junior police
The
officer?
order comes from the top. I will draw a parallel to the country William Ruto likes to compare us with, Singapore. When the prime ministers of Singapore wanted to fight corruption, they did it. They were firm about it. They went even after their own friends. And that is exactly what a president's power is, or a premier's power is, if they decide to deal firmly with most of the problems bedeviling us as a country. If they want to deal firmly with graft, with the menace of Goonism, or with any other, with any other arising matter in this country, with certainty, that is exactly what a president would do. So if you see the current situation we have of the goons menace running free and getting out of control, and uncontrolled and unbridled corruption, you would almost be forgiven, or probably be forgiven, for concluding that the president is in on it. Because if he or she wants to solve any problem in this country, I'm promising you, it could be solved in a day, not in a week.
Okay,
in 1 day.
Meshach, you want to rebuttal as we wind up with that?
Yeah, this is my. I think my two brothers probably are young, So these things look unique and for the first time. So it is easy to use terms like how far have we fallen and all that. Some of us knew we had fallen.
I think there's nothing wrong with being young.
No, you see the problem is
there's nothing wrong with being young.
I have never said young is wrong.
No,
I'm just saying.
I don't have a problem with you saying that we are young,
Yes.
and that should not be a problem.
Yes,
I have
it
a
is
problem
not.
with you normalizing that because this has happened before, because this is not the first time, so we should let
allow him to finish.
Or we,
So we hear
or
what
we
he
don't
wants
have
to
the
say.
entitlement to talk about
No,
something
let's hear what he
because
has to say.
I also want
we
to
were
hear
not
what he
there.
has to say.
Let's allow him
What's
to
the point
finish
of
what he's
history?
saying. Yeah.
You have all
No,
the
you-
entitlement to talk about it, but don't I also have the same entitlement to talk about my experience?
You have
Don't you
then-
think I do?
And we have not objected to
stop,
it.
then I do my.
Okay,
my
We have not
continue.
objected to it.
Mesha,
Yeah, so
continue.
when
You are the one who has objected to
I
our
have not
entitlement.
objected.
Let
I'm
him
saying,
finish, yes.
given the fact that you are, probably the whole thing looks so new, which there is nothing wrong with that. Even me, when you talk to me about the things of Jomo Kenyatta, I will not know that, oh, such a thing had happened, and I only know mine, which I saw. So probably you will even hear somebody talking about the Olkalau, but I also think they are not too young to know that even in Malava we saw some people beaten and stripped naked. I'm not sure if I'm the only one who saw all that. And there are people I know, one-on-one.
Yes.
One is called Denosonko. They were in Malava. And so I am just drawing parallel that some of these things are not very, very new. But the question is, when are we going to stand as a country to actually deal with it? Because when it is happening today, I am in, you are out. Tomorrow, you are in, I am out. So we keep changing the spaces like this. And that is why I would draw the parallel. Let me say, somebody would look at this and say it is really, really bad. Yes, it is bad. I'm not saying it is not. But I will tell you, there was 2007. And according to Waki report, that is official report, 1,133 people were killed. These people were killed when we had a government. There were police, there were ministers, there were everyone. But the whole story, and this is where we come to you, the media, the whole story was taken to Kiamba Church, which had 13 people who died, who were burned in church. Now, my mathematics is not failing me most of the time. 13 minus 1,133 remains 1,000, more than 1,100.
Yeah.
So who killed this other 1,100? And were they all in Eldoret? No. Others were killed here in Nairobi. Others were killed in Nakuru, Naivasha, and many other places. But why are we not talking about them anytime we want to talk about the 207? Because the 207 Kiamba serves our interest at that particular time with the debate we want to, the narrative we want to push. So that's why I'm saying, if my younger brother is feeling like we have just fallen, I am confirming we fell many years back and we have never been out. That is what I am saying. We fell many years back and we've never been out. And we've never worked together as a country to be out either. We only mention it when it serves our interest. When it served my interest, it is bad. When it stops serving my interest, it's neither here nor there. So we shouldn't be just holding conversation to paint the picture to look bad. We should also find out what next is my role, what next is the role of that police and the IG and everyone else. Because that's why I started at the beginning by saying, if we are not going to change as a people, the software, then nothing much will change. My brother Adrian will differ with me, but I think if the politicians, today they are giving me almost the same answer. Listen to this very well, Adrian. When you talk about Olkalau and all the politicians who have talked about it today, say the Olkalau have shown something unique. I will not disagree. That you can actually eat the money, take all those things, but vote where you want. Why is that not the same with what I was saying, which Adrian differed with me on? That young people can also decide to be Olkalau. That politicians can come with money and they can say, no, we are not going to be your goon. Why is that not the same? When it comes to the young people who give themselves to be goon, it is okay. Young people cannot be blamed. I mean, it is wrong to blame them. We have to go to the organizer, the politicians who gives money. But on Olkalau, the lesson is we can actually take your money and not do the voting where you want us. We can actually protect our vote. So these same young people, why can't they also say when it comes to stopping goon, the software is with us. We will take your money, we will not be your goon anywhere. Why is that not happening? Then some of them, I also drew this parallel even with the so-called mighty Gen Zs. There were Gen Zs vying. They didn't even thought there were Gen Zs vying in Olkalau. They all went back to the default setting, the major political parties with who is who. And none of them, even on this table, wants to touch or even talk about their Gen Z who was vying. I am sorry, you have to keep quiet now.
We have just
kept quiet.
Okay, finish.
Then I will stop.
Finish, we are also ready for you.
No, we have just started.
Let's do
I have touched something.
I don't think
Let
it's
him
okay
finish.
to start
Let him
blaming
finish.
us, and
Let
the
him
conversation
finish.
is just getting started.
Okay, what we are doing is we're just finalizing.
Meshach has not
Discussion.
finished.
Discussion.
Meshach has not finished.
Anything I've said that is a lie.
No, we've not said you lied.
Then
Complete your
why are you
statement.
feeling like you have to cut in? You can't wait
Because the
if I was
conversation
lying,
has
then
just started and you're
okay,
taking
there are only
blame.
two things. It is either itching you the wrong way or I am lying. Those are the only reason why you can't
No,
wait.
we are listening
See,
to
in
you.
every debate, there's you give us a right of reply. So now you're blaming us for the failure in Gen Zs not showing up to vote for their own Gen Z, and the conversation has just started. You're blaming us for not addressing that issue. Yet we're still in the introduction phase.
Unless you are not
comparing,
listening to me,
okay,
unless you are
just-
not listening to me, I was
Meshach.
drawing parallels
if he needs
from
to
where you
have
came
an
from.
honest
Okay, let's do
conversation
this.
without
Let's
attacking
do
us,
this.
that
We
would
just
be
want to
better.
wind up on the issue of goons. Actually, we were finalizing on the issue of goons.
Yes.
What?
No, we are not finalizing.
We are.
Let's
Meshach
get
has
us,
stated a lot of.
let's
Okay.
get us to the lessons
Yes.
on
You
Olkalau.
don't want
No,
us to
what I
finalize that.
stated, Tricia,
Yes.
was simple. If we had an earlier conversation and Adrian felt like we cannot blame these young people, when I said I think the blame should be 50-50, both politicians who organize and the young people who give themselves to these services. Then he said no, according to him, it should actually be the organizers. They bear the better or the bigger burden. But then I drew the parallel here, that now when it comes to Olkalau, it seems they are on the opposite side, because we now feel it pushes our agenda of maybe 2027 elections. Ruto will not get any vote and all that, which I am okay with. But why is it not the same way that the Olkalau guys can say, give us the money, give us the gases, give us the boat and everything, but we vote where we want? Can't young people use the same method and say, give us the money, give us everything, but we will not be your goon?
Listen, you know when you're a critical thinker, you question things to the root. Why are these young people in the first place agreeing to be goons of these individuals? It is because of financial benefit from them, right? That is the most possible compelling reason why they do this. But somebody like Meshach would not question that it is this politician that is actually to be blamed for the state of condition of that poor young man. If that young man had a decent job like me in a law firm somewhere, I cannot decide to take up arms and be paid 1,000 shillings so that I can clobber another person. So the same politicians are the reasons for the problems, the economical problems that these young people are facing. But that is not a point to talk about. You would only start from the organization of goons and say, why have you accepted this? But you do not go to the root cause that it is this regime that has actually undermined young people so much that everything has become expensive when it comes to the cost of living, the cost of education, the cost of living in this country. But that is not a broader topic. Another thing Meshach talks about is on the issue of bribes. First of all, I would love to even openly say that there was nothing wrong with the people of Al-Kalau taking the unga and the salad and refusing to vote for the government. Because 2 days before that election happened, when we questioned the government for bribery, the government told us, no, this is not bribery, this is empowerment and development. Okay. Yeah. So why would you cry and say that, why are these people taking these bribes and going out to vote for this?
Did cry about that.
No, listen, I'm also finishing. So the government already denounced and said that these were not bribes. They say that this is development and this is empowerment. So let those people have the right to do so. But before you tell the youth that, I have no problem, and I'll say this. I say that there's no problem with blaming young people, because part of our objective of Gen Z is to emancipate our young people from being used by politicians. I agreed with that. But I kept saying that part of the problem that you need to diagnose this problem of goons is to start with the organizers of those political goons, and to start with the fact that the reason why these young people are easily convinced to join your political goonism is because you are the ones who has created these bad conditions such that they cannot thrive, they cannot get jobs, so they are predisposed to your mediocrity of being paid 1,000 shillings so that you can go clobber another person. That is the root cause of this country that Meshach does not want to talk about, because he does not want to be seen on the screen going against the president, because maybe he might lose certain privileges that he has right now.
Adrian, the truth is, your root cause is the different root cause that is mine. Your root cause starts with Ruto. My root cause starts way back. That's the only way we differ. Because according to you, the root cause of why every young man is not at work today is beginning with Ruto from 2022. But I am different. My root cause of why is beginning way, way back. That's the only difference.
Okay, I think let's just wind up with that. Please, let's just cross over to something else.
Can we get to the lessons from Al-Kalau?
That's what we want to look at. Okay. Yeah, that's what we are crossing over to. And of course, like I said when we were starting, this Al-Kalau by-election, of course, has sparked fresh debates around the political strategy that Ruto might be forced to use for 2027, because like we've just said here, he really invested a lot in the Al-Kalau by-elections. We've seen the development and the empowerment projects that he has done in Al-Kalau, including the buying of boats. I saw some boats there. I was even wondering whether there's an ocean. There's an ocean there.
There's an ocean in Al-Kalau.
Yeah, there is a lot that has been invested.
The government built them a dam, then got them a boat.
Yes. So now let's look at some of the lessons that maybe both sides, that is the opposition and also the government, have learned from the Al-Kalau by-election. Let's also look at the shifting political dynamics that we have witnessed in that place, so that now we get to the strategies that may be deployed by these leaders as we head towards 2027. Actually, this landmark win by the DCP candidate, let's just forget about the other candidates. Like, of course, they participated in the election, but we are looking at these two main. So with 35,000 against, of being followed by 5,000, that's quite a very huge difference. That's a gap. Hiyo ni gap ingine kubwa sana. So people are asking, is it time that now the president considers leaving the mountain behind? Because of course they contributed to his win in 2022. So now, and I remember him during the burial of the late MP in that region, when he was saying that he is a friend to the mountain, he knows his way to the mountain, he doesn't need anyone to introduce him to the mountain. And again, we also have seen the mountain people, led by Rigathi Gachagua, saying that you don't know this place, it is us who knows, this is our place. So starting with you, Meshach, do you think it is high time the president left behind or forgot about the mountain and start thinking about something else?
I have two things which I think the president is also aware of. One, the president has been aware all along that he has lost a considerable amount of votes in Mount Kenya, especially the so-called Mount Kenya West. He is also aware of that. Even going into this election, he knew that. But I think what he might not have known, and now this has come out more like empirical evidence, research evidence, is how much has he lost in the Mount Kenya West, because there has never been anything to test that. So what he did was to test Mount Kenya East, which was Mbere, the by-election in Mbere.
Yes.
And he knew at the end of the day, this is where I stand in terms of what I can get on this side. Never has there been anything for him to test this side of Mount Kenya, which the opportunity came with this by-election, and he has now tested and gotten it right. This is where I stand in terms of what I can gather in this part of Mount Kenya. So it is him and his strategist to sit down and figure out, is it something we want to still invest in and do something to turn it around? Do we have enough time to turn that around or not? So if he found out with all his advisors and strategists that it is not possible, then he will take a new course. That new course might be something different that we might not be able to point out exactly today. But at least for me, one thing that by-election in Olkalau has given William is the amount he has lost. It was being rumored that he has lost, but by-election has given him figures and numbers of how much he has lost. Yeah.
5,000 votes against 30 means you just lost everything.
Drawing lessons from Olkalau, I think the good citizens of Olkalau have reminded us that power belongs to the people, the people are supreme. Going by the bravery they displayed yesterday, I have not seen citizens in this country such police officers. Maybe this happened before I was born, but I've seen it for the first time.
They did in 2002 when Kibaki got into power, and
in 2002,
police on the road tried to take bribes. That's why I'm saying nothing is new under the sun.
That's why I'm saying in 2002 I was in
problem.
Nursery. I'm saying if it happened when I was not politically awake,
yes,
I would let that slide. But this is happening when I'm politically awake at 27. We have also seen a denial of entry and civic disobedience yesterday, in that the locals were firm about protecting their votes and who accesses polling stations. Because there has been rumor and allegations before that some people access polling stations with rogue intentions, with deleterious intentions to sneak in pre-marked ballot papers, or to or they have the intentions of disrupting a peaceful voting process. And we've also seen instances where, without proper civic oversight and vigilance, ballot papers have been stripped to the ground and banned. We've also seen police vehicles and IBC vehicles. Do IBC have vehicles? I've seen vehicles being intercepted before with ballot papers, and those ballot papers don't make it to
the polling stations.
Not to the polling stations, to the county, to the constituency tallying center, and the Form 34As don't make it to the constituency tallying center. And when they do, most of them are doctored. I have seen this happen with Olkalau. I've seen the residents of Olkalau escorting ballot papers and the Form 34As to the constituency tallying center at night. We've also seen that as citizens we can actually stand up and defend democracy, and we are not as powerless as we think. We've seen citizens chasing away armed men in plain clothes who are armed to the teeth with no consideration whatsoever to what that gun could do to you, because in the next minute you would be lying on the ground if whoever is wielding that gun just decides to fire. But the citizens were not having any of this, and you saw how they chased those plain clothes masked goons. Another lesson from Olkalau is that this government is in panic mode, and that in its cowardice, it's willing to deploy masked police officers or whoever those were to intimidate locals and to try and influence a free and fair election. That is cowardice of the highest order. We've seen those masked police officers brutalize media personnel who are neutral in this entire situation, who are only covering what is happening on the ground. And by the way, Alan Ademba is still in police custody for taking photos and recording videos outside a polling station, not inside. Outside, just painting a picture for the rest of the country on what might be happening. This government maybe does not understand that apart from mainstream media, we have our digital media outlets nowadays, and that we have our digital media guys who are constantly updating us and streaming on almost everything that is happening in this country. Akina Tonka, akina Vinde, na watu wengine wengi sana. So I think in their wisdom or lack of the same, they thought that arresting Ademba would put all of us in darkness, and by brutalizing and confiscating phones and the camera equipment from the NTV media guys, they would plunge all of us in political darkness. Unknown to them, there are so many media guys who are on site. Na wengi wao walikuwa digital media guys. Most of the videos that are circulating online were captured by citizens themselves and our digital media guys. So hata mkiendea Citizen, mwende NTV, mwende nani, we will still have our eyes on the ground. Another lesson from Olkalau is that Ruto is beatable. I have said it here before that Ruto has lost 2 elections. He lost the nomination to Raila Odinga in 2007, the nomination to the presidential candidate of the ODM. William Ruto lost the election with Uhuru Kenyatta in 2002. This is the 3rd time he's losing an election. You might argue that he was not on the ballot, and whoever was on the ballot was a candidate from the UDA, but who does that party belong to? Who owns UDA? Because in Kenya we have parties that belong to specific individuals. They are not fidel to their ideologies, if they have any, or their visions. They belong to certain individuals who do most of the pushing. And this was his party, and his party lost, so he has lost an election. Another lesson from Olkalau as I wind up, ni ati wajinga waliisha Kenya. Citizens have demonstrated that even if you bribe us with cash, boats, hata utuletee reli, utuletee gari ya moshi, utuletee gas, utuletee mattress, utuletee mafuta ya kupika na unga ya chapo, utuletee hata viatu za kuvaa ndio tuende tukakupigie kura. Tunaweza moyo siku wa kupiga kura tutumia akili na tupigie ule mtu ambaye tunaona anaweza tusaidia hapa, because citizens can differentiate between genuine development and rush development that is supposed to hoodwink them into voting for a government candidate. Not that voting for a government candidate is problematic, if you would ask me, but if the government, that government is as rogue, as deleterious, as nefarious as the current one, would you want to vote for a candidate from that same government? If I was in Kibaki's government, say for example, Kibaki had his mishaps, he had his weaknesses, but I would think that his government has shown us that you could really govern a country somehow better than your predecessors or those that come after you. And if this candidate was from the Kibaki government, I would probably spare him or cut him some slack, because Kibaki's government wasn't as bad. I know Meshach probably might disagree with me, but it is still on record that Kibaki's government delivered economic prosperity for this country. And not that it wasn't as tribal, but yeah, that still happened. Another lesson from Olkalau is Medhu is a force to reckon. Whether you like that or you don't, that is up to you. Because I would I think credit him for this win. Not more so Gachagua. Medhu and Wanjiku Muhia campaigned on the ground for almost 48 hours in a day, if not 56 hours in a day, to ensure that Kamau Ngodho wins this election. They even came up with a chorus and a song for this. And you've seen how dedicated they were in this particular instance. I would not be surprised if Ruto would be trying to woo Medhu on the back door or in the back door. He would want him into UDA so bad. And the last lesson from Olkalau is that the people have moved on. I think Ruto now understands that better. Mungesema one term ni kelele, ni porojo, ni siasa mingi, ni upuzi. Gachagua ni paper tiger. I'm not defending Gachagua in this particular case, but you can see the results have spoken for themselves. He's not a paper tiger.
Yes.
He's not a passing wind. One term is real, and the people have moved on from William Ruto. And that I think unless another by-election vindicates him, as it stands today, Ruto must go.
Okay, thank you.
That is the verdict from Olkalau.
He will go.
Okay, let's get to...
I only have one lesson I learned from Olkalau by-election, and it is huge. I learned that Gen Z is a Nairobi thing. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Nobody talks about Gen Z who was vying. No one has talked about the Gen Z who was on the ballot.
I will get to that.
Can you just listen? You heard all the time.
I'm listening.
Yeah, you heard all the time. I am drawing a lesson from what has happened. So you can't return a by-election in Olkalau now. Sure. The only thing is, there was a by-election in Olkalau. People came out to vie for the seat. We know there before, we have seen many, many groupings of young people telling us it is time for young people. That was also time there was a young man. But apparently that debate disappeared. Nobody talked about it. And nobody is talking about it even after. So I am here wondering, is Gen Z only a Nairobi thing? Because it is only in Nairobi where we see a lot of groupings and they are charged and it is time, Gen Z power, Gen Z, what. And then when one of them, that is where I would have seen the threat and say, truly this country is changing. Look at what has happened. There was Gachagua and the entire team. There was Jubilee candidate, which is basically backed by Uhuru and who is who. There was also the UDA backed by the president. But our young people came out so peculiar and chose one of their own. Then I would have said, come 2027, something different is going to happen in this country. But what did I find? Gachagua is a powerhouse. Agency is telling me here, Gachagua is a powerhouse, blah, blah, blah. At the same time, I'm not defending him, but the result is there to be seen. Thank you, I've learned a lesson.
So Meshach, somebody is just supporting you here. He's saying that Gen Zs are only sound and active on social media. They don't vote. That's what she has said here, yes.
Another lesson from Olkalau.
No, he has to answer. Okay. Just let him answer.
Another lesson from Olkalau, as I get to the theories as to what might have happened in Olkalau, is that money is not everything. Mwambia Sifuna, ndio ashinde hii kiti, lazima atafute atueli. Yeye akona password ya 1 billion shillings na anajua mahali pesa inatoka. This is confirmation. Unaweza kuwa na hiyo pesa na ukule nje. Kama ni pesa, Ruto alikuwa nayo. UDA walimwaga. Kama ni influence na state resources, nao walikuwa nazo. Sasa, watu wa Olkalau ni watu wengine wajanja sana. Wanachukua 2,000 kwa Mushina Nyaga, ikifika jioni, Medhu wanawafanyisha mchango, wanarudisha 1,000 kwa Kamau Ngodho. Wanachangia ule candidate hana, ndio apate ya reflector, apate ya t-shirt, apate ya kofia. I have not seen that happen before. And again, I'm addressing myself to my political wokeness.
It happened when they elected Kawanjiku, the son of a widow or the son of a single mother.
I am addressing myself too.
That is a careless statement.
I'm addressing myself too. I will let that slide. I am addressing myself too.
Jama had money.
He said
I don't have a problem.
He said the son of a single mother, but the way he has said it.
No, that is what Rigathi sold to the people. I am not inventing it.
Point is Meshach.
And they voted.
I'm not saying that
was not an old mzee.
I'm not saying that citizens have not voted.
So it has happened before. I am just putting another point. Nothing new.
I'm saying that I'm not saying
so
that
the results might not be new in future.
Meshach, I'm not saying that citizens have not voted for a poor candidate before. Poor, because Kamau Ngodho is not poor. I'm saying I have not seen citizens get money from candidate and distribute that money to candidate.
But how do you mean Kamau Ngodho is not poor and in the same sentence walikuwa wanachangisha, Methu walikuwa wanachangisha to give the poor ones? I mean, what are you saying?
DCP deliberately decided
My problem
not
is
to
listening
pour cash.
keenly.
DCP decided to deliberately not to pour cash into Olkalau. By all means, Gachagua is not poor. DCP and the entire machinery of DCP had the money to pour into Olkalau. Probably they did not have 10 billion. Okay. But surely they could have galvanized around probably 1 billion shillings or 500 million shillings for that by-election. But they decided to deliberately not to to do that, to counter Ruto in his wisdom or the lack of the same, of pouring in 10 billion shillings, thinking that he would buy the locals. And I'm addressing myself to what I saw happen. I have not seen citizens receive money from candidate A in the morning and fundraise for candidate B in the evening. Or have you seen that before? That is another lesson from Olkalau. And as I get to what Meshach was addressing on Gen Zs, there are 3 possible theories on what happened in Olkalau. One.
You call them theory?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they are not proven.
Theories, just theory.
They are not proven. One. The citizens
Come on, you're a
of
scholar. You know the importance of theories.
The citizens of Olkalau now and currently, and Mount Kenya West or Central for that matter, now currently, as at this moment, hate William Ruto enough to want to send him home. That's one theory. Or they hate his party and his ideologies, which have not materialized according to them as of at this moment. That is theory number 1. Theory number 2, the people of Mount Kenya and Central have found in Gachagua a new kingpin. And they now are fond of him to the point that they would gift his candidate a position to lead them. Or they have embraced DCP enough, and it is the new party in Mount Kenya. Going by the report that was released by Infotrack, the poll they did, you saw that the popularity of DCP in Mount Kenya, I think, is at 33%, higher than Jubilee and any other party in Mount Kenya.
Yes.
The third theory is that the voter, the average voter, has come of age. That voter education has worked in Kenya, that civic education has revolutionized how citizens think, reason, and make informed decisions. And as I was saying, these are theories, the 3 of them. But getting to what Meshach has said, or was saying...
You've been getting into this for a long time.
I'm getting to that.
Yeah.
I have it written here, by the way. I have it written here so that
Please
you wouldn't...
Please get to it. I'm eager to hear.
No, I'm saying I have it written here so that you wouldn't say I am addressing this conversation just because you mentioned it. I have it in my notes.
Okay.
As a Gen Z, I am disturbed. I am perturbed. I am taken aback by the happenings in Olkalau. I am not proud today as a young person in this country, going by the fact that we did not support our own Gen Zs. This has happened in every by-election that we have had in this country. It has happened in Malava. It has happened in Kasipul. It has happened
Kasipul was the youngest and is still the youngest.
It has happened in Bereno.
So count us out of that.
I will not count Kasipul out because Boyd Were was not picked by ODM because he's a Gen Z.
Is it a matter of who picked or the fact that we have a young person?
We all know that Boyd Were was cherry-picked and hand-picked.
Look at this.
I gave you time. Let me
If it is in Nyanza,
Boyd Were was
a matter of who picked. It is no longer a matter that if he was picked by somebody else, does that take away his age and now make him old?
Boyd Were was not handpicked for being a Gen Z.
Debate with your mind, not your
Boyd Were,
emotions.
and I will repeat 1,000 times, was not handpicked by ODM, by Gladys Wanga for that matter, just because he was a Gen Z. He was handpicked because he is the son to Ongondo Were. If they wanted to pick a more competent Gen Z in Kasipul, they would have found one within that ODM
how did you
party.
find out that Boyd is not competent?
Well, but
So
again,
are
We'll
you
get to
saying
that conversation another day. But point is,
we
and I will
are
stand my
in that
ground.
conversation now?
No,
There is no
listen.
need for
So in Kasipul,
Listen here,
in
Meshach,
Kasipul, by
yes.
the way,
No,
I
just
let me
want you
handle
trying
it.
to lie to the nation that there has never been in this any by-election. And when I pointed out, you are now taking the conversation to what makes you happy.
It's okay, let me get to
that
that
he was
conversation.
handpicked.
As a serious Democrat,
Boyd
I have
Were-
a problem with
Boyd,
inheritance.
we cannot disagree
I have a problem
on the
with
issue of Boyd Were.
Adrian, is
Boyd Were was
young or not?
He
Boyd
was
Were is young.
handpicked because
So
he's the
if
son
he was
of
unpicked,
Ongondo
does
Were.
that make him a wrong?
Was he the only
It makes
qualified
him
Gen
a
Z
wrong-
in ODM
Listen.
in Kasipul? Was there a
So,
nomination?
yeah.
Was there a nomination
Whether
for
there
Gen
was
Zs
or
in
not,
ODM who
whether
wanted to vie for that
whether
particular
there
no,
was
no,
or
Gladys
not.
Gladys
Listen.
Wanga made it clear that the
They handpicked
replacement
Boyd Were.
of Were was going to be coming from the family of the late MP. That was how it inherited. That is something that we cannot agree with as Kenyans.
I have a question to both of you.
Who said that democratic positions are inherited by someone from a family member? It shouldn't. But that was the message that was put out by Wanga and other ODM members. They said that it has to be someone from that family. So, in fact, the issue was never.
Buru Odinga is the party leader of ODM by way of inheritance. By way of inheritance.
Can you be
by way of inheritance? So ODM could not get another party leader. No, so ODM could not get another party leader. That party leader has to be a relative.
We are going to end this interview if we cannot listen to each other.
Can we listen to each other?
Yes.
I have a problem with the politics of inheritance.
First, you are claiming that this has never happened in the country. Then when I punched on this,
Gen Z's did not support Boyd. He was an unpicked candidate.
Goodness.
He was ODM, the candidate for ODM, not the candidate for Gen Z's. That is the point I'm making. And I'm saying we have failed in every by-election as Gen Z's to field our own candidates. We did not field Boyd Were. Please have this on record. We did not field Boyd Were. Boyd Were was fielded by ODM and unpicked by Gladys Wanga. And we've lost this.
James, let's listen to each other. I think now we are just making noise because we are not making any sense in what we are saying. I think the issue here was the issue of Gen Z's.
Yes, I had addressed myself to Gen Z's.
He was asking why
we have not marshaled our own candidates.
And I'm saying we are talking of Boyd Were, and Boyd Were is a young person, right?
Is he the son of Ongondo Were or not?
Where is the
being a son of Ongondo makes you not
the qualification was being his son.
Okay, say everything you want to say and listen. Then
let me finish, then you will talk.
Yes.
Boyd Were was unpicked for being a son of Ongondo Were. There were so many competent Gen Zs in ODM and from Kasipul who would have replaced Ongondo Were, but they were never considered. There were no nominations because Gladys Wanga and ODM were hell-bent on having a relative of Boyd Were succeed him. It is probably for tweeters that Boyd Were was young enough or probably vibrant enough to replace his father. I have that problem coming from a county that has known political inheritance since 1997. Francis Nyenze died in 2017. After he died, we got his wife as our MP. She has not performed, just like her husband. And she now wants to bequeath that seat to her son. I have a problem with political inheritance in a democratic country. This is not a kingdom. And getting back to the conversation about Gen Zs, as I was saying, we've not concertedly marshaled under or behind our own candidates. We've not done that. And I'm admitting to this failure, as painful as it is. And because this is an indictment on the movement of the young people that had famed itself in being the next outfit, the alternative government, the third force that Kenya wanted. And I'm pushing this conversation to the young people and asking them decisively today, do you think we are on the right path? If this was 2027, we would lose it flat-footed. We would not have as many Gen Zs in power as we wanted. Probably would have 5 MPs out of 290. Probably would have 2 senators out of 47. Probably would have 1 governor or none out of 47. Probably would have 1 women rep out of the 47 of them, and would not have nominated Gen Zs in political parties.
Where are the Gen Zs in the by-elections?
We have failed in by-elections, and if this is anything to go by, we might as well fail in that general election if we cannot pull ourselves together into one outfit, into one party, and to speak with one voice. And this has happened because probably we don't have one unifying leader, and that has been the problem. When we had a brief stint with Kasmuel, you saw how we were moving with one direction, with one voice, one accord. When we had a brief leadership of Morara, you saw how that where that got us. You saw how the young people were excited or probably involved and deeply questioning the government and pushing for accountability. There were so many Moraras that sprouted after him that decided to do what he was doing. Going to projects that have stalled, exposing the government for stalled projects, exposing William Ruto and MPs and governors for projects they initiated and never completed. And you saw how that unity under one leadership briefly ushered in a generational transition and a leadership that was to be emulated. But we've lost that because we do not have a unifying factor as at this point. And I'm admitting to what Meshach was saying, only that he wants to debate on this issue, that we as Gen Zs have failed in the by-elections. Thoroughly, in all of them. And I would not be surprised if we fail in another by-election if held tomorrow. Because we are not speaking with one voice. We've not agreed to come up with one party, with one platform, and we are busy singing praise and dance for Gachagua, for Mwangi Kiunjuri, for what's the name of this other guy? Justin Muturi, Mithika Linturi, Kalonzo Musyoka, and any other politician that is in the united opposition. In their parties, we've not gotten anything meaningful.
I think that is
and Tricia, what is this obsession with Gen Zs? Like, it is Gen Zs who are supposed to be solving things. Like, where is the Gen Z? Where is the Gen Z in this place? Why has Gen Z not vied?
When we already I think challenged the status quo and pushed this country to want better.
And now they're afraid of us.
So not blame them for wanting us to lead.
Because I tell people that whatever Gen Zs are speaking about are principles that cut across every Kenyan and every citizen. Why is it that there is a by-election there you're questioning, where is the Gen Z who's vying? Our message has never been about putting just a Gen Z in a position. Our message has always been about change in this country. So, sometimes I find it ridiculous when this generation that has so much resentment towards Gen Zs, they come out clearly and say that, where were you at this point? Why were Gen Zs not vying? Why were Gen Zs taking bribe? No, the message of Gen Z was never about putting a Gen Z at any particular point. The message of Gen Z was actually the issue of change and reforms of governance in this country. And that is the reason why we had one of the biggest, close to a revolution, in 2024.
Yes.
So let us get away and do away with this obsession that we're having with Gen Z, that for change to happen in this country, that you want to see a Gen Z there. In fact, the obsession comes, just like my brother has said here, it is because we were the ones who had the confidence and the courage to challenge this status quo. So it has never left their brain. So anything that happens in this country is the constant nagging of just pulling the name Gen Z, Gen Z. What about Gen Z, Gen Z, Gen Z? No, we are all Kenyans and we all aspire for reforms in this country. That is what we are fighting for. That was the clear message of Gen Zs. In fact, the only reason why we were saying that Gen Zs will take up political space is because other older people have failed to take up those political spaces. People like Meshach here. You can see the way he's speaking about governance in this country as a person who is older than me. It is quite embarrassing. So that is why sometimes you have to communicate the message of, if you guys have actually failed, then we will take up this position. But when we want the reforms in this country, it does not mean that we cannot give other people who are older than us position. Why is it that Maraga has so much? Why is it that Maraga has very good approval from the Gen Zs?
Yes,
he's very old. In fact, he's 5 times older than the average Gen Z. But the reason why we do it is because there are certain principles that he has that aligns with us.
Yes.
So get away with this obsession of Gen Zs.
So,
save your own country.
Adrian,
you are wiser than us, older than us.
From where I sit, I know I'm not a Gen Z, but I would have wanted to see Gen Zs also taking up places of leadership as well. And that is the reason why I think I don't think Meshach was asking this question with any motive or anything. I think his concern was the fact that we were saying that after the Gen Z protest in 2024, we said that we are expecting, and Gen Zs themselves came out and said that they will be taking up these positions of leadership in any elections that are coming. So I think that is the reason why Meshach was asking, and it's just a fair question because we are interested. We want to see also the young people getting involved in the leadership of this country. So come 2027, we are expecting to see more and many Gen Zs. So I don't see where the problem is coming in. And
sadly, I will have to agree with Meshach on this. We cannot fix this country with protests and activism alone. that alone is not enough. We need to get to leadership positions, and we need to unify ourselves behind our own candidates, behind a party, behind an outfit. And if we can't get a party or an outfit, at least we need to campaign for our own candidates. I'll be proud sitting here if we had a Gen Z in Olkalau right now as their next member of parliament, because that would give me confidence, and so many other young people who are on the ballot on 2027 or in 2027, that they have a chance, that they have a shot at leading this country, that they can sit at the decision-making table and vote on bills, push legislation, represent their people, and oversight government.
Okay.
You see how I was quiet? I'm expecting that.
Okay, thank you, Meshach, for understanding. So,
I'm expecting that.
He knows what he's about to say.
So I want to ask you a question, Meshach,
yes.
about when President William Ruto forgets about or leaves behind the mountain. Forgets the mountain, or leaves behind the mountain. Where do you think he should head to?
Yeah, I'm coming to that, but let me pick these two things first. My brother needs to know that when something good has happened, even from the opposite side, it is not hurting to just accept that this actually happened and it is good. When my party, ODM, went to the by-election for Senate in Homa Bay, Senator Moses Kajwang was 35, a youth. Yeah?
Yeah.
And there were older people who wanted, including former Rangwe MP Okundi, who was also considered people who worked with Baba for a long time, but they chose Moses. It is really wrong to imagine that that has never happened simply because it is on the opposite side. When we come to Kasipul...
Can I ask a question?
Can you just...
It's just a question.
Please.
He's asking a question.
It's a question.
I also had questions and I kept quiet.
It's just a question.
So why is your question so urgent?
Is Moses Kajwang related to Otieno Kajwang?
Yes.
So
he is a brother.
So this is political inheritance.
Can you just listen?
No, it was just a question.
Now, so when that happened,
that's a
he
good question.
was young. He is a Kenyan, but being related to the other person is not a crime. So when we come to Boyd, there are cases like in the case of Bomet, Kones, they picked the wife to Kones when Honorable Kones died. In the case of Labos, they picked a sister. But in the case of Ongondo, there is older son of Ongondo. Boyd is not the older son. They are all three wives who are able to even be in parliament, but they picked Boyd. Is it so bad that you hate ODM that even when they picked the right candidate, a Gen Z like you would still want to find a fault?
He was not the right candidate.
You would still want to find a fault. So this is the reason why we are saying, if there is that kind of obsession, and then you are telling me in your Cumberland, the Nyenze was picked and is now making it, why don't you just draw the comparisons and say, at least ODM might have handpicked, but at least they picked a Gen Z like me. This is much better than what I have in my backyard.
I have a problem.
Please, sometimes just say, when it is right, it is right. Even today, when it is right on the other side, I will say this is right. So let me come to that, Tricia. Adrian, the reason why you think people are obsessed with Gen Z, we are not. You talk about it yourself. You are the ones who had courage. So, when you are the ones who had courage, you are the ones who have numbers. You are the ones who have done what we couldn't do, what other people couldn't do. My friend here has just referred to Oburu as a fossil. Then we have an election. Yeah, we have an election.
That's wrong.
You failed terribly to do anything.
Am I the first person to refer to Oburu as a fossil?
No. Can you keep quiet? The problem I have with the so-called Gen Z is that.
Isn't he a fossil?
What's a fossil?
I think you should better ask Jeff Koinange.
But Oburu is of
age.
age.
Probably next time we need to set rules before we start the conversation if it involves Gen Zs.
Okay.
Because
No, these are podcasts. No problem with being confrontational.
Yes.
So there is expectation that comes with what the Gen Zs told the country, that we are the change that this country needed. So for you to affect the change properly, and even probably sustainably, we need young people in these leadership positions, because they are actually the future of Kenya. We, the millennials plus Gen Zs, might just be the change that the country needed. So if we have not figured out how this thing will work, then we are going to repeat the same mistakes in 2027, and we will still be on the road trying to again effect the change through protest. And we do not want to be in the circles of protest forever.
Sure.
Because even as we do, our sons and daughters are also growing. They will also start telling us the same things. That, Daddy, you people cannot do this. You have, time has passed. So what I'm saying, Adrian, is when the young people came and told us, for us, the Gen Z, we are tribeless. We are leaderless. We don't have boundaries. When it is the change we want, then this would have been those opportunities. When we see, do you remember Tricia, the time when they all gathered together and went to a church, Sijui, in Muranga or whatever, to stand with one of their own? I think the mother was unwell or something happened. And the whole country said, these are young people that must be watched. Even politicians were shivering, especially the so-called fossil you are talking about. They were looking at you to actually see this movement growing that way. So when an opportunity came for a ballot, you claimed that you are tribeless and leaderless and do not look at all that. We needed to see you all behind Boyd and say, we don't like ODM, but as long as they have picked one of our own in our age set, we are going to this. We needed to see that there is a by-election in Malava. If the parties that are leading do not pick any of our young people, we are going to pick one young person, we are going to rally behind them, we are going to fundraise the same way you were claiming they were fundraising in Olkalau. Unfortunately, they were not fundraising for Gen Z. Then it would have been like that. By the time we were going for the by-election in Olkalau, the 2 or 3 or leading parties with older generation would have been looking at what card are these young people going to play in this by-election. But as we speak, everybody is back to default setting. The party in Kikuyu land is DCP, the party in Luo land is ODM, the party in Kalenjin is UDA. There is no change. So even as you keep making noise that we are going, the change is here, we are looking at it and saying nothing is new under the sun.
Okay, thank you. So play for me the clips around what the president said about the outcome of Olkalau.
But don't call Oburu next time fossil.
I am learning this from my father.
But it was
Jeff Koinange.
Koinange who called him. It's not actually him. That's the reference.
Mnasema tuendelee ama tuendelee? Nyinyi mko tayari? Na msikuwe na wasiwasi. Relax. Hii siasa sisi ndio mafundi wa hii kitu. Hii siasa tunajua kuitengeneza siasa vizuri. Hapa mbele si sasa kiwanja itakuwa wazi. Tutakutana kwa kiwanja. Yes. Ama namna gani? Yes, tutakutana kwa kiwanja hapa. Ndio tukubaliane nani yako na sera. Nani yako na track record. Nani yako na mpango. Wananchi wataamua. Si namna hiyo? Ile kitu mimi nauliza wananchi wote wa taifa letu la Kenya, tudumishe umoja. Kwa sababu baada ya uchaguzi Kenya ni yetu sisi zote. Hatutaki maneno ati mpaka tunaamini ya kwamba uchaguzi inakuwa life and death ama inakuwa yani kufa kupona. Hapana. Kutakuwa na Kenya baada ya uchaguzi. Na lazima tuishi kama ndugu moja, watu wa taifa moja. So we must do that together.
Well, you've heard the president. Yeah. The president has said that elections are not a matter of life and death.
Which is true.
Yeah, there is life after.
But he's killing us.
After elections.
Uhuru killed us.
And
so does that mean we can't hold him accountable because Uhuru killed us?
He's also
now
talked
you
about.
don't want to
No,
hold
listen.
What kind of reasoning is that?
Listen to this.
The same reasoning.
Give her time.
No, the host is used to me.
Yeah. So what I was saying is, you heard the president what he said, and amesema wao ndo wanajua kupanga mchezo. And actually that is what we were talking about when we were saying that I think President William Ruto is forgetting about the mountain. He has realized that these people, if he continues putting more resources on trying to bring them on board, he may fail. So I think he's learned something. And is it today? Today there was a meeting with the Luhya community.
Yes.
Yeah,
Led
Luhya
by
they came, and I've seen him, led by Didmas, he was there. I've seen him promising lots of goodies. Nimeona akisema pale 33 billion investment in Bungoma affordable housing and markets and hostels. He's also talked about supporting the AFC Leopards in signing in new players. He's talked about constructing level 6 hospitals. He's talked about sugar cane, so he's talked about so many things, and for the longest time people have been saying that the Luhya vote is a vote everybody can go and have a bite from. So I don't know, do you think the president is trying to quote the Luhya vote?
Let me start with questions we have from Olkalau, then recalibration from Olkalau, then get to Ruto's next move.
Can you get over Olkalau?
No, I will not.
Because of time, we don't have time.
I think that's what we are discussing about.
Yes.
It's our major agenda.
2 minutes from this.
Okay.
We need to answer the hard questions from Olkalau. Where did we get where did we get 10 billion shillings from? Last I checked, I don't think by-elections are budgeted for. So where did the executive get 10 billion shillings to dish out in form of projects? Last we checked, projects have to be budgeted for before they are done. So now you can construct a road overnight without a budget. Now you can construct a railway station overnight without a budget. Now miraculously there is 10 billion shillings to dish out to the people of Olkalau, but there is no money to buy a new machine for cancer patients in Kenyatta National Hospital. There isn't money to equip our hospitals with enough beds. Mothers are sharing 3 beds per hospital. That is very questionable.
Yeah.
2, we also need to question, was this the internment of UDA? Is this their burial? Is it this how it ends for them and for that
in
party?
Mount Kenya?
In Mount Kenya.
Okay.
We also need to ask ourselves, so government can manufacture development and seamlessly, overnight, and seamlessly facilitate the provision of services without glitches overnight. Yani Olkalau ilikuwa ina work kama Singapore in a month. I wish that the rest of the country would work like Olkalau was, because now this country would already be a first world. Tutahitaji kuambiwa tutapelekwa Singapore. The second last question, who will be charged for deploying goons in Olkalau? And with that prosecution actually happen? How about the masked plainclothes officers? Who will take responsibility for that? And the last question, this question is addressed to that IEBC commissioner. I don't remember her name, I wish I did, who said that whatever was happening in Olkalau, you see the dishing of cash, the distribution of boats, the connection of the electricity connection to the gridlock, to the national grid, was not voter bribery, it was voter treatment. I would need her to explain to this country what is voter treatment, because in my understanding there is little difference between voter bribery and voter treatment. And both of them are election offenses under the Election Offences Act and under the just give me a minute for this. The Election Offences Act of 2016 and under the Election Act of 2011. And I wouldn't want to get to the details of that, but hapo mmeona mchezo tumechezwa. Sasa tutaanza kusema, na sasa hatukufaa kusema hivi lakini tumewekwa kwa box. Tutaanza kusema Ruto ako na IEBC because they find the Kipiriri MP Wanjiku Muhia, who is now on the side of DCP, but they did not find Kina Moses Kuria and the rest of those other CSS, PSS and leaders who appear to be aligned to the executive, who are facilitating the dishing of gas cylinders, money. Kuna MP kwanza alisema yeye ana spend, was it 1 million shillings a day? Did they charge him? Did they fine him? Sasa tukuje kwa the recalibration, then get to Ruto's next move. First thing, there are going to be so many defections from MPs in Mount Kenya into DCP. Watu wanahama overnight. In the next 2 months, there will be so many defections of leaders from UDA into DCP. Unaona akina Nyoro na Kangata walikimbia mapema. Sasa baada ya by-election na UDA imechapo proper, 85% to 15% of the vote. Si wewe unajua watu wanaenda usiku. The second recalibration, DCP is going to be the party to watch, and Gachagwa's value has risen. Wale watu walikuwa wanaenda wa Munyoro, kama walikuwa wanaenda 1,000 kila siku, sasa wataanza kwenda 5,000. The third recalibration, Gachagwa's value for the ticket has gone up. Kama ticket alikuwa anaitisha 100,000, kiti ya MCA sasa inaenda 300,000. Nasikia hata Gachagua ati anaitisha watu pesa kwenda kwake. Anyway, the last recalibration, that UDA will have to rethink on how to engage with Central and Mount Kenya going forward. Because as it is, Mount Kenya West, if that's a thing, carries 70% of the votes in Central. And they have said no to voter bribery. They have said no to all manner of enticement and inducement from the state. So the president has to rethink. And this is what I think is going to happen from the part of the executive and Ruto. There has been talk that he should purge out Kikuyus from the cabinet secretary positions and from the principal secretary positions and any other positions they hold in government, including director generals and directors. He might as well pursue that route, but then that will be at the risk of losing at least 10% of the vote from Mount Kenya, which is still substantial. 10% of 4.5 million votes ni 500,000. That could still make a difference in an election. Ruto might as well want to woo Gachagua. You might say this is wishful thinking and it may not happen, but you remember, Makau Mutua is on record saying that he would never work with William Ruto, even if he was the only option.
Even Joho.
Even Joho. Where are they sitting right now as we speak?
Next to the president.
Probably busy sipping tea at State House as we speak. So I wouldn't say that Gachagua cannot work with William Ruto. William Ruto might as well woo Gachagua. And when he does, and if that happens and it is successful, he gets DCP back to Kenya Kwanza, and the mathematics changes.
Your 2 minutes are over.
One last thing. The president might as well decide to abandon all projects he started in Mount Kenya. Ile barabara walikuwa wameanzisha wajamaliza, inaishia hapo. Ile train waliambiwa inakuja, haikuji. Na hiyo mambo ingine yenye ilikuwa Mau roads msahau. Another possibility is that Ruto might as well want to field a new kingpin for Mount Kenya. Na hapo sasa ndio hesabu za kina Kimani Ichung'wah na Eric Wamumbi zinakuja. Wanatafutiwa chama ingine, wanaambua divide Mount Kenya West mara 2. Or the president might pivot to Nyanza and the Western region. Na amwage huko pesa yote na projects zote in the hopes that the Western region and Nyanza will deliver votes to him 100% or 80%. Lakini nataka nimkumbushe hiyo ingewezekana kama Raila bado angekuwa hapa, because Raila was the kingpin for the Western region and for the Nyanza region, and with him gone, the Nyanza region has no commander, the Western region has no commander, na Sifuna anakuja mzuri. Sasa hii Western yenye unadoea saa hii sijui kama utaipata.
Okay, thank you.
What's the question? Because he has spoken about everything. I think even now, if you give him mic again, he'll go back to Olkalau. Because it is the only thing
I've spoken about Ruto's next move.
Trisha, I think the question he started with, for me, it looks great, sounds good, but to the wrong one, because we need to start from the fact that Olkalau seat belonged to Jubilee Party. In 2022, UDA was the most preferred party of Mount Kenya. Jubilee party was part of Azimio, and Jubilee won the Ol-Kalou seat. And so today there is a by-election, and DCP, a new party, has come and has become the best party for the people around that place, and they have won. The question, is this the end of UDA? Should have gone to the Jubilee? Is it the end of Jubilee? Because Jubilee had...
It was already the end of Jubilee.
Jubilee had very few...
I don't think Jubilee is very substantial to discuss about right now. Come on. Jubilee had already ended.
Jubilee has not ended because Jubilee leadership and sponsor is the sponsor of Linda Mwananchi and the entire
Do you
group.
see, look at the allegations he's making.
And you think
look at the allegations he makes.
Yours is not allegation. Yeah, they think theirs is not allegation, and they actually think they monopolize allegations. You believe?
I'll send you a demand letter.
No, we know. It was even shameful, and Adrian here do not want to talk about it. It happens every day that even in this election, people like Pauline Njoroge were all of a sudden on the candidate of DCP, and they forgot that she sits in the neck of Jubilee Party, which has a candidate in Ol-Kalou. And here, he is telling me these are allegations.
Allegations
For me,
that Uhuru is
I don't
supporting.
I don't think Jubilee.
How is Jubilee funding Linda Mwananchi?
They know
How?
what they are doing. I believe there's something. They know what they were doing.
Gachagua and Uhuru have
There is no problem
three
with-
times, and in the 3 times they are in talks of sealing a pact. Probably they agreed that the Jubilee candidate should not waste
to
much
hell.
time, and they should all
Yeah, for
support
me, I
the
think this is by design.
It is a working agreement.
So then direct your question, are we now seeing the end of Jubilee in Mount Kenya?
How about the end
No, that was not-
anywhere in
Okay, actually,
You know,
that
the
was-
trick
that's-
of these
in the
people
country.
is not to, they don't want to accept that UDA has lost ground in Mount Kenya, so they want to deflect it to Jubilee.
Why?
You see the way he's pulling the
Adrian-
point out of the ground, but it is not coming
Adrian,
out.
What is a lie in what
That
I've
you-
said?
what-
Was Ol-Kalou a seat for Jubilee in 2020?
It is not
Is
about
it a
the
lie?
seat. Let us look at
It
how
was
much
us.
votes did Ruto get in that constituency himself. He got a
5,000.
considerable, not this particular election, I mean in 2022.
previous one, yeah?
The previous election, Ruto had a considerable amount of support from people in Ol-Kalou. That is the substance of argument. We are not talking about whether
And
the
was-
former MP
and
was Jubilee.
Ruto vying
No.
for presidency again in Ol-Kalou yesterday? No. So why
Did
are
Ruto
we-
field
why
a
are we
candidate with his
comparing
ruling party?
oranges, eh?
Did Ruto field a candidate with his ruling party? Yes.
Did he spend
10 billion shilling? Yes. Did he send armed goons? Yes.
No.
Did he send boats?
Okay.
Yes.
Did Ruto field a candidate in Ol-Kalou in 2022? Yes. Did he get a good amount of vote as a president? Yes. Why didn't he get the same for his candidate? No, we don't know. Because you don't want to know. Because it doesn't favor your argument. Thank you. So
If there was no presidential candidate from
We
Jubilee
need
and
to
there was
wind
a
up.
UDA.
We need to wind
Yeah.
up. By the way, yeah.
So
Our time
for
is up.
me, as from ODM perspective, we didn't have a candidate one in Ol-Kalou. Wherever we have fielded a candidate for by-election in Kasipul, Kilifi, Ugunja, we did a good campaign and we won, irrespective. So it is upon the president, like I said, but I don't think the person in president is supposed to do what my brother is saying. Perhaps purge out, if there is any idea like that from his advisors, that would be a wrong idea. Purging out individuals from Mount Kenya out of positions is wrong because as ODM, that is what we've been against all along, that we do not want to have a country where every other time your tribesman or woman is in power, then the others must feel like they are out completely. If these people do not deliver, the best thing to do, if anybody is listening from the president's desk, the best thing to do is sit down and find out why this happened, and is there anything else we can do different that can make us as UDA get a lot of votes in Mount Kenya come the next election. There is still 1 year to actually do a lot of things. The change in the voting pattern of this country can always happen even in less than a year. Things can always change. So I would not advocate for purging out maybe people from Mount Kenya in the positions they hold in government, because they are Kenyans like any other Kenyan. We have been victims of that in other governments before, and so we will not advocate for it today. Then second, it is also a lie, and it has been peddled all of a sudden. Everybody has accepted and thought this is the truth. There are two lies. Number one lie, that, there's no need because in the Nyanza region, there can never be turnout, especially now that Raila is not there. People keep talking about 700,000 votes which were not casted from the Nyanza region. But when you go to the details, you will realize that there is no single county from the Kikuyu nation that had a larger turnout against any single county in the Luo nation. There was none.
Kiambu.
There was none.
Kiambu.
Okay.
No, Kiambu did not have a larger turnout than the Luo nation counties. That is a document I have here. Number two, those are some of the lies that we are being told. Yesterday, you realized the turnout was about 56, 57, but you're told that is huge. You saw, because we do optics, we can get some old granny or someone sick and put on the camera, and then you say, these people turn out, the other people don't turn out. That's another lie. Where that lie leads us is this, that no election in this country can be won if Mount Kenya, quote and quote, the Kikuyu nation does not support you. I want to say, obvious, there has been elections that have been won, including 2007, without Mount Kenya. Raila won the election of 2007, fair and square, but he was not given power for other reasons. So don't keep telling us all this lie over and over to believe that no election can be won without Mount Kenya. Thank you.
Okay.
Who has told that lie in this podcast?
Not in this podcast. It has been said
just bring in
many
your
other
news,
times,
please.
in many other places.
Just bring in your submission.
Who has said in this podcast such kind of a statement?
I was looking up what Adrian was saying, and yes, somehow Samuel Waweru Kamau Ngodho vied in 2022 under UDA, and it was the runners-up.
Yeah.
He garnered around 19,000 votes. David Kiarao, the late, garnered around 24,000 votes. Yeah. So Kamau Ngodho is not a new name in Olkalau, and is not a first-time contender.
Yeah.
Samuel Mushina Nyaga was a first-time contender, and he was a former personal assistant of the late David Kiarao.
How old are they?
Probably in their 40s.
30s.
Okay, let's
Am I supposed to be making my submission? You know, you only have time for Meshach, not us, right?
We need to end this show.
No, let me make.
We've not even given the people of the internet the opportunity to even call in. So as you give in your submission,
closing submission.
Not really. As you do that, let him also allow the callers to call in so that we can wind up. Yes.
A lot have been said on this podcast, but for me, the most concerning thing with this Olkalau election is how we have decided to elevate Gachagua. Most people actually don't understand that the fact that we have decided to spectate on the win of DCP elevates Gachagua to a very high position of politics in this country. And what does that effect have on us as citizens? We go back to that kingpin discussion, or that tribal politics that has been going on for a very long time. Because right now, the perception in the entire country is that Gachagua holds the keys to Mount Kenya. So if you look at right now, even I'm also disappointed with Gen Zs, that is now the discussion among us people, that this person has the keys to this particular region. And when we vowed against the failures of this regime, we vowed that the discussion to elect the next president or the new leaders will not come from this tribal politics of dividing the country among certain individuals who have keys or special access to those regions. So that Olkalau election has given Gachagua a special kind of elevation, which I don't like. Which I don't like and I do not support. Part of the ambitions of removing Ruto was that we would get a better replacement than what we had. If you see Gachagua might even be more questionable than the president who's sitting here today. We're talking about a person who, the same manner the president talked about shooting someone in the leg, also blatantly talked about the police cannot kiss you. They will have to kill you. We talked about a person who was openly, even more than the president, talked about the government belongs to certain individuals and other people do not have the entitlement. Even few days ago, he would openly state that the only reason we kicked out ODM, I mean the only reason we fell out with the president is because he started arrangement with ODM. So I don't know if he meant that it is because he felt like there was a plan to oust him using ODM, or he felt like the people of ODM or Nyanza did not have the entitlement to be engaged with the president. So for me, I don't like that elevation, and I do not support the way people are blindly spectating the win of Sami in Olkalau. One thing I might say is that, okay, thank you. The people of Kalau did not succumb to, the intimidation, the bribery and all. That is perfect. But what is the general outlook of the results that came out of Olkalau? Maybe the citizens of Olkalau chose the best candidate that they got, but what is the general outlook for the entire country?
But how
we have now
been?
The general outlook is now that Gachagua is now the kingpin region of Mount Kenya.
So how would it have been if it was the other candidate who won?
How would it have been? How?
Isn't it the same?
It would not be the same. It would not be the same because part of the agenda that has been propelled, there's two different agendas that have been propelled. Ruto is not propelling the agenda that he has the access to the mountain. It is Gachagua who's propelling the same. So even if it was a UDA candidate winning, that would not be the message there. The only message would be there is that Ruto has not lost his support that he had in 2022. But the message for the Gachagua is now that he has had the access. And this is something that he has been fighting for. Elections that have come out in Mount Kenya. He wanted it so bad in Bere, it did not happen. So that is one of the things that I'm, highly concerned about Olkalau. But aside from that, looking at Ruto, in political analysis, there are clear signs that Ruto has seen that he has fallen off in Mount Kenya. One of the agendas that drive his collaboration with especially people from Nyanza in the broad-based arrangement is that particular fear of Mount Kenya. And Ruto has also mastered the way this arrangement can actually work. Ruto wants to replicate what happened in 2007, whereby he's running a certain kind of narrative to get the entire tribes of Kenya against one particular tribe, which is the Kikuyu. That is why right now, most of the Luo leaders who are being sent in Nyanza today, I know most of you don't speak Luo, but if you listen to most of the speeches, it is actually talking about how Kikuyus are bad. Why? Because they want to instigate the Luo people against the Kikuyu people. They go now to the people in Somali and they say that Uhuru, who was a Kikuyu president, did not like the Somali people. So they instigate the people of Somali region. They go to the people, of course, and say that, you people are minorities. You are never given a chance to lead this country. Then they go to the people of the northern part of Kenya, the Turkanas, the Samburu, and they tell them, you people have always been marginalized. But Ruto now is the first president in Kenya who's going to be giving you access. So that campaign that he's doing around the country is to get all this tribe against this one particular tribe. That is why, comfortably, most of the people around Ruto are always talking about shunning away Mount Kenya. You'd hear them say, who does Mount Kenya think they are? This country can go on without them. So that is one of the tools that Ruto is trying to highly use in 2027. And the pawns, unfortunately, are people from my tribe. The people who are going to be used the most are the Luos, which is pathetic. And in fact, if Raila Odinga was to wake up one day today and see what is happening in ODM, to wake up and see Oburu Odinga flashing 10 million shillings that this is from the president, to see his most powerful party begging for development in State House, something that he has never even done as a president. He has never even begged when he had a handshake. He would actually be so disappointed to what and how Luos have turned out. Shameful to Luos. That is my closing remarks and my...
That is sophisticated Luo speaking. The Luo saved Luos.
Yeah, I'm seeing so many people have written to us. That is on our that is on the comment section there.
That comment is full of Luos.
Wow,
let them comment.
Wow. So many people are here, and a lot of things. I wish you could just open the comment section and just see. Yeah.
What's the password?
Oh, does it have the password? Oh, sorry. Sorry. There's somebody who was saying that the president is the head of the state, of the defense force, KDF. KDF has a budget that the head of the state, who is the president, uses to do developments. Those roads, markets, stadiums, etc. I think you should Google that.
So
I think it was responding to you.
KDF ni ya barabara ama ni ya defense activities?
No, what happened, Tricia?
Yes.
The budget is done for a country, but the budget, for example, road, if you're talking about roads, the budget of a financial year will say, we want to do 10,000 kilometers of road, or we want to do 2,000 kilometers of road in this budget. But those 2,000 kilometers can be this road or that road. It is not cast on stone that it has to be this road. So that is where the executive or party in power gets the opportunity that when there is something we need to do here, now out of the 1,000 kilometers of road we need to do, which is in the budget, let's do 50 kilometers here. So that is how they...
I have a question to Meshach.
So somebody, yes?
I have seen MPs discuss roads. Say, for example, let me make up a road that does not exist. Thika Olkalau Road. And they pass a vote on the same. And so many other projects. They passed votes on airstrips. They passed votes on dams and so many other projects. So you want to tell us that apart from the roads, airstrips, dams, and other projects that are actually debated and passed in Parliament, there is a miscellaneous budget in that roads department or the department of, say, dams that has some billions that could be used to manufacture new projects in Olkalau for roads or dams or any other thing. So there's always a budget kamebaki tu mahali hanging somewhere that was not debated on.
That's not a hanging budget. We are saying the financial year 2026-2027, we are doing 2,000 kilometers of road across the country. And it is the Ministry of Road, and that is why you hear the MPs lobbying. That is why you hear the MPs lobbying and saying this road in my constituency needs to be part. It is 50 kilometers, but it really needs to be part of that 2,000 kilometers of road. That is what happens, at least in Parliament. And I am not denying, many times and almost all the times, the party in power will take advantage of that situation and do things, even if those things will influence how much votes they can get. And it is not unique to William Ruto. It happened before, it will happen after William Ruto. Even if tomorrow you have this new candidate who we don't know in State House, this will just happen. When there is a by-election and Meshach is the president and my party is the ruling party, we will know with these people need some road. In that 2,000 kilometers, please give them 50 kilometers. Oh, in the Ministry of Energy, please, what can we give them? What do you have in the budget? Oh, I have a budget for extension of power to rurals, this much. Please give this much to those people. It usually happens, it will happen. Unless, and it is not against the law. Now, if it becomes against the law, then we will have a problem. If we say, as a country, we want to legislate further and say when there is a by-election in a specific constituency, there will be no projects running by government until that by-election is over. We can put it in the law if we want. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I don't know whether anyone has anything before we close down.
I think we are done.
Okay.
I think we're done.
My last one is,
yes.
Can we organize as a country? I am not comfortable with having just two. It is either broad-based or united opposition. I am comfortable if we can get more and more. The problem I have is that we have a group coming up, like Linda Mwananchi, for example, but they are not specific if they are on their own, so that we can say there is a third.
We are on our own.
No, they are still mixed signal, because you have a Sifuna who says there is no other way. We have to work with Rigiji and the team. Then you have another group like Hamisi who said we need to be on our own all the way to the ballot. I would be comfortable to know that we have a third and even fourth. Then Kenyans can go to the ballot in 2027 and choose who they want. If they return back to this old one, then you will realize what I was saying, that change will never come until Kenyans themselves decide to change the DNA.
Okay. I just think, for my parting shot, I'll just read two comments about Boyd Were. In ODM, people inherit things because they think the positions are their birthright. Boyd Were, okay, this is from Jafuam Bogikeyo. Yes, but Boyd is not competent. Even in Bunge, what is he doing? A rubber stamp for party positions. The last comment. Some are personal comments and personal attacks on Meshach.
Which is okay.
There is a comment about Boyd here, and someone is saying Boyd was awarded that position to wipe his tears. Case closed.
But you can see even the so-called Facebook comment section team leaders are also getting it right. The conversation is Boyd a young person or not? If I am having my father and I'm replacing my father, does that take away the fact that I am young and I can be a leader?
So thank you guys for coming. Thank you, James. Thank you, Meshach. Thank you, Adrian, for coming. Thank you to the people of the internet for choosing the political headache to solve your political headaches tonight. So until next time, my name is Trisha Wayua. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye, Trisha.
Everybody says that there is no job, and that is true. Also, that was me 10 years ago. The problem is that everybody is trying to get a job in their town, in their city, in their marketplace. They ask friends for jobs, mothers call uncles, uncles call brothers, but there are no jobs. Let me tell you what no one is telling you. Jobs migrated online. What I actually mean is there are many, many jobs around the world, and there is no one to do them except you. I work for Americans myself. I work for Europeans. I work for the Chinese. I work for the Australians. I work for the Canadians. And so Because I have done so much for myself, I said to myself, you know what, I should compile what I've been doing for the last 15 years. So in 2024, I wrote a digital book called Goldmine 18 Hustles for Africans. And then in 2025, AI came. People say AI is taking away our jobs. And for me, I'm going to say false. There are actually AI jobs. Jobs are not being taken by AI, but there are new jobs online that are there because of AI. Now, mimi ni nani? I created more jobs. And for now, in my new book, we have 25 online and offline jobs that you can leverage on if you do not have a job. So in this powerful volume 2, I share 25 new actionable online hustles specifically researched and tailored for Africans. My new book provides clear step-by-step guidance drawing from my extensive experience and research, including the mistakes I've made and lessons I've learned over the 15 years that I have worked online. So what can you do online? You can become an executive assistant for busy folks in Europe, America, Canada, and get paid for tasks like watching videos and taking online surveys. Okay? You can build a lot of things. Build a business as a virtual assistant, start an e-commerce shop without capital, be an affiliate marketer, or you can also become actually an English tutor and tens of AI jobs. If you have a job, that is fine. But I also know that you can buy this book for that brother, for that sister, for that mother, for that cousin, for that husband who is watching Netflix all day at home. Buy it for your friend who is always asking for cash. You know that friend. Now, all the information is on the description below. You can also inbox me, you can WhatsApp me, or go to my website, which is odworjegero.co.ke.